Just within the last half hour, new details coming in about those two deadly shootings that took place in Duluth yesterday. Law enforcement now saying this afternoon they do believe those two incidents are indeed connected.
First, a man's body was found around 4 yesterday afternoon near the intersection of 4th Avenue West and Piedmont Avenue. Then around 9:45 last night near 79th and Grand Avenue, two deputies fired deadly shots at a man during a traffic stop during an apparent exchange of gunfire.
Duluth Police and the St. Louis County Sheriff holding that joint press conference that just wrapped up in the last half hour, sharing that they believe the suspect in the Piedmont Avenue homicide was the man that later died in that deputy-involved shooting on Grand Avenue.
The officers responded to reports of a shooting, finding a man dead from an apparent gunshot wound. We learned today the victim is 33-year-old Darius Handy of Duluth. At today's press conference, Duluth Police Chief Mike Sanoa tells us Handy was driving and the suspect shot him from a vehicle while at a stop sign near West 4th Street and Piedmont Avenue.
Then about 5 hours later, a St. Louis County Sheriff's deputy tried stopping a vehicle for reckless driving on Grand Avenue.
That vehicle then sped off, but a second deputy helped stop the fleeing car. St. Louis County Sheriff Gordon Ramsey says that's when gunfire was exchanged between deputies and the man driving that car. The driver, who has not been identified yet, died at the scene. And again, law enforcement believes he was the suspect who shot the man on Piedmont Avenue earlier yesterday. Deputies found a handgun the driver allegedly used. The sheriff says he was not legally allowed to have a gun due to prior felonies. The Minnesota BCA is now investigating, as in common in these cases. That agency will eventually share more, including the names of the deputies who were involved. Those two deputies who were not hurt are on leave tonight as that investigation plays out. Law enforcement says both men were known to law enforcement and there were prior cases both were involved in.